Welcome back to another F4 lap guide. This week we're at Brands Hatch, and because this track has so many fast corners, I found that when I was pushing for a hot lap, I was asking too much from the front tires, which causes them to overheat, causes understeer, and means that you can't carry as much speed through the corner. So by trying to go faster, I ended up going slower. So for this fast lap, I was really focusing on braking slightly earlier and asking less from my front tires. This meant that they were slightly cooler, we had more grip, carried more speed, and allowed us to put in a 1:22.7 lap time. So let me take you for a lap and show you all my inputs around Brands Hatch. Coming across the line to start our fast lap as we head into Paddock Hill Bend, which is a really challenging fast right-hander. What makes this corner so challenging is that not only can you not see the apex on turn-in, but there's undulation in the braking zone. So initially, we have to apply the brakes very gently because we're coming over a crest. But as we go further into the braking zone, there's a compression, which means we have more grip and can apply the brakes harder. So it's a very unconventional braking technique, but you need to master it to be fast around here. We're braking just as we come over this first crest. Again, it's a gentle brake initially as we ease the car towards the right-hand side of the road. But as we can see, there's this compression in front of us. We can apply the brakes harder. So we apply the brakes harder as we turn into the apex, releasing the brake as we get a kick of oversteer, and getting hard on the throttle through the apex, using all of the road on the exit, into fifth gear, and heading into a much more conventional braking zone. It's a hard initial application of the brakes, and then we trail off as we come into the apex, getting on the throttle hard at the apex to give us a great exit. We're braking about 10 meters before the 50 board in front of us, and we gently ease the car in towards the apex as we trail off the brake. As we get into the apex, I'm getting back to throttle, but being careful not to use the apex curbing because you'll lose traction on exit if you do. Hard on the gas in third gear, using off the road on the left-hand side and hustling the car back to the right-hand side to set up a fast left-hander. We're lifting off and gently tapping the brakes just before this yellow grass in front of us. Kissing our left front tires on the apex curbing and getting hard on the throttle as we use all of the exit curbing on our right. Coming into a super challenging long duration left-hander. Because this is a long duration fast left-hander, it's just a gentle application of the brakes, and we're really focusing on not overstressing our front tires. This is one of the corners I was talking about, where you can gain a lot from braking slightly earlier and braking slightly less. So just at this kink in the white line in front of us, I'll begin turning in. And just after turn-in, I'll lift off the gas and gently apply the brakes. Now my goal will be to peel off the brakes and be hard on the throttle before we hit the apex. So I turn in, peel off the gas, and gently apply the brakes, peeling off the brakes as we get in towards the apex. And if you look at that, I am already on the throttle. And I'm looking at the apex in front of me, which is this kink in the curb, trying to be full throttle before I hit that apex. We are indeed full throttle, a little kick of oversteer. That's going to lose us about half a tenth a second, but it's okay. We are clean through the first half of the lap, coming into three very fast right-handers. Super important to listen to our front tires to make sure we're not overloading them. For this first right-hander, it's very conventional. We're turning in just after this 50 board in front of us, lifting off and dabbing the brakes after turn-in and dropping it down into fifth gear. Just a very gentle dab of the brakes, touching our right front on the curbing, hard on the throttle as we get through that apex. We're being careful not to go too far on the left on the exit. Coming into another fast right-hander, I'm looking for this orange on the Armco barrier in front of us, and I'm going to be braking and turning in about 10 meters before it. A light dab of the brakes down into fourth gear, and trying to use as much of the apex curbing as I can. But you do have to be careful because if you go too far to the right, you'll get a 1x off track. But we're hard on the throttle through the apex, a little kick of oversteer as we come through the exit. But we're clean through there, coming into my favorite corner on the track, a blind right-hander. I'm looking at this 50 board in front of us, and we're going to be lifting off and braking just after it. I'm aiming my right front tires where the grass meets the road in front of us. And although you can't see the apex, that is exactly where we'll end up. Just a little dab of the brakes, and magically the apex appears in front of us. Hard on the throttle through the apex, being super careful on that exit not to drop our left side tires, hustling the car back over to the right hand side to set up a fourth gear left-hander. For this corner, it's just a quick jab of the brakes, drop it down into fourth gear, and I want to be hard on the throttle by the time I hit the apex. This is another corner where you can gain a lot of time by braking earlier and being on the throttle earlier. So about 10 meters before the 50 board in front of us, it's a quick jab of the brakes down into 4th gear, and we're already on the throttle before I hit the apex. And we're hard on the throttle as I hit the apex. In 4th gear, 5th gear, 1 corner left, 1 chance left to make a mistake. I'm going to be braking just at the 50 board in front of us. Similar to the previous corner, it's just a quick jab of the brakes though, and then immediately on the throttle. So a jab of the brakes, down into 4th gear, immediately off the brakes, on the throttle, trying to carry as much speed through this apex as we can, hard on the throttle as we come through that corner, into 5th gear, minimize the distance traveled as we hit that apex on the right-hand side, coming across the line to set a 122.777. Thank you guys so much for watching, so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week of racing, and I will see you guys next time.